Welcome back to DASLAB. Today we're going to do something a little bit different in the science realm here. You won't be able to see my hands flopping around. This is something that I did a long time ago, back in about 2002. I was working in a laboratory and I had a friend of mine who were discussing, the projects we did to graduate from our respective electronics colleges that we took our technology diplomas in, and what he had made was a device that would control the flash of a camera for being able to capture a moment in time. So it doesn't control the camera, it controls the flash. And when you do that, if you control the light in the room, you end up getting pictures like you see here with a light bulb in the middle of exploding. So what does the setup look like? Well, I had in my basement a camera on a tripod. I had an external flash on a tripod. I had a box that would control the flash by that green wire. And I had a trigger circuit attached to the light bulb. Also, I had so the light bulb is the target, and I had a gun that would shoot a projectile at the light bulb and make some event happen. So the way this would work is I would arm the flash so that when a contact was broken, as you can see the dark green wires that were attached to the target, when that contact was broken, the flash would go off. So I would arm that. I would have this is a 177 caliber air rifle pointed at the target, loaded, ready to go. I would turn off the lights in the room, and I would go over and open up the shutter on a camera. It was an old 4 megapixel digital camera, and you could basically have a 15-second exposure. Now, when I open up the shutter on the camera, the room's dark, so there's nothing being captured. I'd go over to the vice-mounted pellet gun, squeeze the trigger, the pellet would break the bulb, opening up the contacts on the dark green wire, and that would cause the flash to trigger once. And whatever photons were emitted in the room would get captured on the digital camera. And I would wait in the dark with broken glass all around for the camera to close the shutter, click, and then I could go turn the lights on and see what happened. So I'm not controlling the camera. The camera shutter was exposed, open for 15 seconds, but I am controlling the flash. And there was a circuit similar to this. Basically, it's a 555 timer and a single shot configuration, and you can see the flash would be connected up here, and it's a SCR controlled drop across that flash. So the flash would be charged and ready to go with its own internal power supply, and we just needed something to trigger it. And there was different triggers you could have on this device. You could have it triggered by sound through a microphone on the left. In the center alternative would be a optocoupler sensor, infrared basically, I believe it was. And the third alternative, which I used on the right-hand side, the top right-hand corner, was a switch. And that was on contact open. On the inputs on the left of the main circuit, that would cause the circuit to fire off once. So down in my basement one Saturday afternoon, I'm sure there were some bottles of beer involved, probably just Saturday afternoon trying this thing out. And I was able to get some photos like this. There's a little Christmas light bulb, and that's a dart, a 177 caliber dart for the air rifle. And of course, it's all lined up. This is not a lesson in how good of a shot I am. It's just a lesson in exposing it. So you can see the dart moving through, and the black and white wires are the trigger. And when the trigger opens, the flash went off. In the next shot here, we have, I moved the trigger mechanism to the back because I wanted some more of the event to evolve before the trigger went off. And you can see the dart, this time it's a green one, just emerging out of the back of the bulb. Now, common misconception, the blurriness here is not a limitation of the camera. It's a limitation of the flash. This was not a very high quality flash. So it was on for a long period of time, relatively speaking. I don't know how many milliseconds, a fraction of a second, but it's on long enough to cause the blurriness. So the blurriness is not a limitation of the camera, it's a limitation of how long the flash is on. Okay, so next picture there, you can see that's zoomed out a little bit, and you can see the apparatus in all of its glory. Obviously, if you look at the edges of the picture, you can see it's kind of still dark in the room, and it's just basically this is being illuminated by the flash. The next picture, we got a little bit more action happening. If you look on the left, top left of the baby food jar, you can see a pellet. This was a 177 caliber pellet had come through, and I started taping tinfoil on the back of the targets, and you can, or gluing it actually rather on, to give it more of a hair trigger, and you can see more of the event happened before the trigger, the contacts opened, and I got a little bit more of the event going on there. Here's an interesting one. In this case, the pellet went through, keep in mind that the gun is off to the right, so the pellet went through the right through the light bulb, the Christmas bulb, without shattering it. And you can just see, I don't know if you can barely make out, there's a little line on the tinfoil. The trigger never triggered. So I'm in the room and I fire the gun and I hear the bang and I hear glass, but there was no flash of light. So the shutter's still open. I wait for it to close, then I can turn the room lights on, and I merely went over and just snapped this picture with the camera with the room lights on just to show what the setup was. So I thought it was kind of interesting that the pellet went in and out without actually triggering an event from the flash. So here's another one. The dart just entering into the blue bulb. I got a little bit of a close-up here. And you can see, of course, light bulbs are under vacuum. Basically it implodes as the containment boundary is breached. So I'm running out of Christmas bulbs. Well, let's get out some regular light bulbs. Here's the one we started off with, and you can see I don't know where the projectile is, if it's just coming out or if it's already left the frame, but some point in time after the tinfoil broke, and we did get a nice evolution of the event before the flash went off. Thought that was nice. Here's another one. This is kind of interesting. There's a little bit of a story behind this one. If you look in the center of the light bulb, you can see a hole there, a nice round hole. This is another one where it went in and out without actually breaking it. So I'm running out of light bulbs here now, folks. I had to turn this one 90 degrees and reset it and re-glue it. And this is actually the second time the light bulb was shot with the projectile. And you can see on the left what the hell's going on there is why that's flipping around is because the dart hit one of the alligator clips and started to tumble through the air as it left the light bulb. So it's moving again. It initially came from the right hand side and is moving through to the left, and it hit that alligator clip, and the dart started to tumble. So that's kind of neat there too, and you see some good evolution of that. Okay, so guess what? I'm out of light bulbs, right? So here we go. I got a big balloon, and if you look just to the right edge of that balloon, I mean, I was fascinated by this. Don't forget, I'm looking at this in real time, not real time, but like after every shot, I'm looking at it on my little digital screen on my camera, just amazed. And you can imagine in the old days with film, you would have had to go develop the film and go to the lab and check your exposures. This was all set on auto. I didn't have to fool around with the exposures or anything like that. And I looked at this and I saw this is amazing. Who knew a balloon blew up like that? Some sort of weird ripping from the North Pole to the South Pole or vice versa, and a little bit of a flap going there. And you can just see the red dart entering the balloon. So I was just amazed by this, and I got thinking, hey, wait a second. What if instead of my normal operation like this, what if I moved the camera over 45 degrees? You can see the difference here between the two. In the first one, it's straight on, and in the second one, it's off to about a 45 degree angle. And I thought, if I put another balloon here, maybe, just maybe I could capture something like this. And this is not photoshopped. This is just how it is. That is the red dart just after it had pierced that balloon. And I don't know what the pressure is inside of that balloon to get it to blow up like that. But, you know, if you had two barometers, you could measure the air pressure where the red dart is and the air pressure outside, you know, a couple centimeters or inches beyond the balloon, and you'd see two different air pressures. But that's how the balloon breaks, you know, at the old DASLAB. So it was a one Saturday afternoon, my goodness, probably 20 years ago now, and I thank my good friend Jim for lending me that that device that he got through college with. And when I showed him these pictures, he was amazed at what he could do with his device. And he went and modified it so he could get all that trigger mechanism outside of the frame of reference. He was a real photographer, and he thought, I'm going to modify this. And he ended up doing some fantastic photos with it, using the infrared optocoupler trigger and whatnot. And he got some beautiful shots of like an olive splashing into a martini glass and things like that. My project, by the way, what did I do to graduate? Believe it or not, in 1990, I created from scratch an ultrasonic measuring tape that would basically use ultrasonics to bounce a beam off something and figure out how fast it's moving through air, and then give you a rough estimate of the distance. So if you ever see somebody with an ultrasonic measuring tape, I came up with the idea back in 1990. Okay, folks, that's all I got for you on DASLAB. I hope you enjoyed this little deviation into the realm of science and stop time for photography. And that's all we got for you. So whatever you're doing, have fun and be safe. And for God's sakes, don't get any on you. See you next time.